Do you need a landscaping job tackled? Keen Landscaping is a family-owned and operated full-service landscaping company based in Dallas, Texas. Anything from property restoration and tree pruning or removal to landscape design, construction, and installation, Keen covers it all. They're also the official landscape company of the Dallas Stars. Learn more at keenlandscaping.com. Again, that's Keane landscaping.com. Welcome to Parker's MMA Show. If you want to learn about all things going down in the fight world, you've come to the right place. Each episode, your host Parker Keane will take a deeper dive into the always entertaining world of sanctioned fist fighting. Now here's your host, Parker Keane.
All right, so welcome to episode 59 of Parker's MMA Show. We are interviewing UFC fighter Sasha Palatnikov. He is out of Hong Kong, fights out of Las Vegas, coming off his first ever UFC win over Louis Cosce at UFC 255. It was one of the best fights of the night. He's 6-2 overall, welterweight prospect. So very excited to talk to him, Parker. Let's see if we can get him on the line.
All right, let's go. All right, so thanks for taking the time to do an interview with us this evening. We're going to jump right into it and get the ball rolling. But
all right.
Hey, we wanted to jump kind of into your upbringing a little bit. That was something that caught my eye when we watched you a couple weeks ago in the Louis Cosce fight. So tell us a little bit about your upbringing and growing up in Hong Kong.
Yeah, born and raised in Hong Kong. I know it's not the most common, I guess, to see someone of my nationality being born and brought up in Hong Kong, but that was the case. My father was a world champion high diver, so he was traveling around the world and was offered a contract to perform at a park at a show, and that's what ended getting him into Hong Kong with my mom, and then I came along, and then my sister not long after that, and basically, yeah, I mean, Hong Kong's a great city for people that don't know Hong Kong. It's a very international city. It's like, you know, it was or is the business hub of Asia. So a lot of big corporations that, you know, big American companies, big foreign companies are all based out of Hong Kong. And, you know, it's a unique city. You got the hustle and bustle of the city, but you've also got beautiful nature side, hiking, mountains, beaches, you know, all that's like within, you know, 10, 15 minutes away. So it's a pretty cool place to grow up. I was really active. I was always playing sports, and sports not being the biggest priority in Hong Kong. So I always still found a way to just be doing something every single day and just being out and about. And that's why I played so many different sports as a kid. And I honestly think that had a big part to play in my abilities to progress as an athlete in various sports. And yeah, I mean, if there's ever an opportunity for one of you guys to come out and visit when this whole pandemic is eventually over, I would definitely recommend it, and spend some time and, you know, sightsee and just experience a different culture that I feel everyone, if they ever could get an opportunity to experience, should, and would be awesome to get fans and people like that into Hong Kong to see what it's all about.
Yeah, so very cool. So you mentioned you played, you know, I assume you played all the sports growing up. When did you eventually transition into fighting or start training and fighting?
It's funny, like my parents put me in karate at the age of 5. I was a kid that had a lot of energy. And at the time, there was classes 3 times a week, and those classes were like almost 3 hours long. So for someone at that age to have that kind of concentration, it was like literally zero. So when I first started, I hated it, and you know, it was very, very let's just say rated R back then. Like they wouldn't really, you know, they wouldn't care to slap you or hit you or kick you if you weren't, you know, doing as they told. So that for me at a young age was kind of rough and traumatic. But after a couple of years of being forced to do it against my will, it was something that I eventually, you know, grew and got confidence in as I got bigger and stronger. And what was weird was when I went to school, all my friends played team sports, but I was the only one who did martial arts. And I kind of had that fear of missing out of playing on the team sport. And when I got to high school was kind of when I made the transition more into team sports. I was big fan of rugby. I loved playing rugby, and that was a goal to play rugby professionally. And martial arts didn't come back into my life. It was weird. I would always train in the off season because it was great for my conditioning, and I just always enjoyed getting into like sparring sessions and fighting. But it didn't really, like, that switch didn't click. Like, oh, I want to be a professional fighter until I was about 19, 20. That's when I was like, okay, if I really want to do this, I have to really put in the work on the ground, because I already felt I was very fortunate with my ability standing up, but I had a big hole on the ground, and I felt like if I was going to take this thing serious, I had to put all my eggs into that basket. And I was about 19 years old, and I was training against current professional fighters at that time, and I really felt like, hey, I think I can do this. And I made my amateur debut, and that was a quick telltale sign of, I got a quick KO, and I thought, hey, yeah, this is probably something that I should pursue.
You're hooked, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
So, Sasha, tell us a little bit about, so you get to this point where you made your amateur debut, you decide you're going to go pro, and you go on this journey, right? You fight in Florida, you fight in South Korea, Hong Kong, China, you're fighting literally all over the world. Talk a little bit about what that process was like for you in terms of this kind of early professional MMA journey.
It's a great question. I had a really, really tough time transitioning from the amateur ranks into the professional. When I was competing as an amateur, I competed 3 times in upstate New York, and I competed 3 times in Asia as an amateur. And I was undefeated as an amateur. And at that time, when I was fighting, there wasn't really I would guess you could say they were more underground events. They weren't really keeping a record. So I was kind of like a nobody, no name. I didn't have any big titles or anything like that. I won a couple titles in kickboxing, but nothing like big. And so I just said to myself, okay, the U.S. is where all the fighters are. I'm an American citizen, so I can be in the U.S. Let's go there and try to start my professional career. And that's when I made the move and started training with the Blackzilians. And I just showed up there, literally, like, just jumped off a plane and was like, hey guys, like, I want to kind of see if I've got what it takes to be competing with the best guys on the planet. So I just showed up there when it was the Ultimate Fighter. They were doing their episodes, like airing their episodes, and I was kind of tuning in and seeing, like, oh, who's there, who the better fighters were. And the Blackzilians, to me at that time, just seemed to fit the mold I was looking for. And when I went out there, I was doing everything in my power to network and talk to people and just see if I could get a fight. And I had it was 16 months where I had 8 fights fall out from being my professional debut. And there was 2 instances where I showed up to weigh-ins, made weight, and my opponent didn't show up to weigh-ins. I had guys pulling out a week before, 10 days before. And, I honestly thought it was a sign from a higher power, like maybe I'm not supposed to fight. Like, it was pretty weird to deal with it. And I thought everyone was game to fight. But it turned out, more people were kind of Instagrammers or guys that are trying to show a certain, way, but it wasn't like the true fighting way that I was kind of grew up on. And so I was really surprised and kind of shocked, but I took a fight on short notice against the guy that was a heavyweight who didn't make weight. He came in 22 pounds overweight at middleweight. So somehow that fight got sanctioned, but I didn't care. I really just wanted to fight. It was a stupid mistake by myself in hindsight. When I dropped him in the first round, he said it was a low blow. He got on top of me second round, and it was a really ugly fight, but the referee stopped it. I was still fighting, but it was just one of those really dodgy stoppages. And it was kind of just like the rough start to my pro career. And I was like, man, this is not – I just didn't have anyone looking out for me, and I felt like all these opportunities that I guess missed out on. I think it was just unfortunately because I trained out of a very dangerous gym and I have a Russian last name. And I feel like people just account. Khabib was making a name for himself. So they were like, oh, we don't want to deal with a grappler. We don't want to deal with a Russian. We don't know. So because, dude, honestly, like if I had a different name, I think I would have had all those fights happen, to be honest with you. So
like if you were Sasha Palmer, this would have been no problem.
You know what I mean? Exactly. So it was one of those moments. And I was at a transition in my life where I didn't know where I wanted to go, because in my mind I was like, I should have had 8 fights by now, but I had to go back to Hong Kong to renew my ID card. So I went back, and I ran into somebody there who's my best friend today, Matthew Polino, my striking coach. And he actually got me my first fight in Hong Kong, which was no easy fight. I fought against a world combat sambo world champion. He went to Russia. He's the first Korean to ever do it, and just demolished everyone in the 82
Your last
kilo
name
division.
didn't help you at all fighting the sambo guy?
The funny thing is, when I went to Asia, nobody cared about my name. They were all down to fight. It was crazy. The Koreans are all tough. The Japanese are tough. They don't care. They're just there. They go and fight. And I was totally blown away, because I thought maybe that's what I was going to get on the reverse going back to Asia. But basically went out there, knocked that guy out in the second round. And then his manager offered me the opportunity to fight in Korea. He's like, oh, would you like to compete in Korea? Because usually guys that get fights in Hong Kong, or at least Hong Kong based guys, it's very hard for them to keep a professional level of training. So these Koreans, they'll build them up and send them to Hong Kong to build records. And I was just at the right place, right time, and they didn't know nothing about me. So they threw me in there. And when I dusted him in the second round, that was when a big opportunity to go to Korea. They're like, oh man, like, we like your style. We want you in Korea, blah, blah. So I was like, man, just get me fights. I don't care. Just as long as I'm fighting, I'm happy. So that's when the opportunity to go fight in Korea happened. I fought there. They were happy with me. And then not long after that, I had a title fight. Went up a weight class, won that, and man, like you said, I've been traveling. I think I fought 8 times in my career now professionally, and I've fought in 7 different cities internationally. So that's been one of the blessings that I've always appreciated in this sport, is being able to travel around the world and meet people from all different countries, cultures, and see the world. I've never been uncomfortable traveling. I'm always the B-side in my own mind. I'm always, they always put me in as the guy that they hope they can get me out of there. So I've always played that role until I got management. And now, like you guys said, fighting in the UFC and putting on a performance like that, now people are like, oh, this dude's the A-side. Like, let's put him as a favorite, because now we actually know who this guy is. And like I said, on 2 weeks notice, that was just a small little taste of what I'm going to bring. And when people see what happens, it's going to be, you'll see, it'll be crazy. It's going to be fun.
Sasha, I think you made a very interesting point there, right? About, you fought in 7 different cities. Not only that, but you're a guy who Eastern and Western worlds of MMA, because I think, as you can probably attest, fighting in Korea and fighting in Hong Kong is very different than the United States regional promotions, or even the UFC.
Absolutely.
As someone who is an American citizen but born and raised in Hong Kong, who's fought in Asia and in North America, do you see that as a potential role for you, or a way that you could stand out among the 700 fighters in the UFC roster as kind of this bridge between 2 worlds?
Absolutely. I think I have one of the, if not most unique stories in MMA, in the UFC. And I think it's only been a small scratch of the surface of my story and the kind of life that I've lived and the journey that I've had to get here. But yeah, I mean, the cool thing is the reactions that I saw from my fight with people being so curious about my background and my nationality, and especially Hong Kong, and being at a platform like the UFC, and even here being able to talk to you guys. It's about educating and just kind of, like you said, opening people's minds to that hey, look, I'm not your atypical Chinese person, right? But I was born and raised there, and I know nothing better. That's home. And as much as I love New York, I would spend summers in New York. I'm a very international kid, and I'm also I'm very loyal to where I'm from, but at the same time, I'm not like this crazy patriot to one place. I'm a very international person, and just having relationships with so many different cultures, you're like, okay, well, if I meet great people, I'm only going to be feeling great. And if I meet terrible people, then I'm going to be feeling terrible. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of been a big thing that I've been kind of addressing through my opportunities to meet people in different cultures. It's like, you're going to meet great people everywhere you go. It doesn't matter where you're from. You know what I mean? And that's kind of been the beauty of this sport, being able to get around and meet so many different people and just see their side of life and their side of the story. And you guys help also promote that. And this gives me that opportunity to do that as well. And I think that's going to be fun and hopefully eye-opening for some people.
And to be clear on your background for our audience, you are a American citizen born and raised in Hong Kong, but you are of Scottish and Russian descent. Is that correct?
Correct. You hit it on the nail. You hit the hammer on the nail right there, dude.
Damn, Billy, that's impressive.
Perfect.
Bro, I couldn't have picked it. I was just born that way, and that's the beauty of it.
Sasha, I'm telling you, you're gonna hit a lot of. There's a lot of demographics in that mix that love MMA, my friend. So you're gonna do quite well.
I hope so. We got that warrior blood in the Russia and Scotland, and then that martial arts upbringing in Asia. So, and then that American entertainment value. So,
Absolutely,
it all comes together.
Parker, go ahead.
All right, so let's jump into your UFC debut. We had Lewis's brother Orion on a couple weeks ago. These are two guys we saw on the Contender Series that really left an impression on us just because of their fight style. And for you to go in there, honestly, I had never heard of you before. And for you to go in there and bang with that guy, I mean, I think, was it the first or second fight on the card? I'm calling all my friends and I'm like, dude, turn on the freaking TV. This shit is crazy. These guys are going at it. I think he dropped you early and then you came back strong, and put him away in the third. So what did you make of your UFC debut, just the whole experience? I heard you mention, and I would feel the same, being in there with Joe Rogan and DC and, the whole UFC cast is there, people you've grown up watching. How was that experience? And then just talk a little bit about your first fight and what you thought of it.
Oh, it was awesome. Everything that I imagined, which was beautiful because it made everything so easy. I had no stress, no nerves at all the whole week. Everything just felt very routine, and being in and out of hotels for all my fights. And actually, I got to spend more time in my own apartment, which made it like a home field advantage, which was amazing. Having your own comfort of your bed and what you're used to. So that was cool. And everything was great. Just everyone that I met on the day-to-day basis in the UFC were all super nice, positive, such friendly people. And the vibes the whole week were great. And then just, my opponent, like I said, I heard a lot of interviews. He told me he was going to break my jaw. That kind of stuff just makes me even more motivated. And I'm a super underdog. And, usually I'm usually the opposite. So to be an underdog, I was like, oh, okay, it's a little bit different, but I liked it. And just everything was perfect. I felt so good. I felt in my element. If there's one people in the fight, it's weird. I feel more uncomfortable around just average people around me in like the DMV than I do in a cage fight, and it's weird. But it's just something that I feel really comfortable doing, and the whole environment, just the cameras being there, those figures, those people, you see them and you're just like, oh, cool. But then you're just like, all right, we're back on task. We got to do what we got to do. And I knew I had a tough fight. I mean, there was no guarantee. This is 2 weeks notice against the guy that finished everyone in the first round. No matter who he fought, it's still an impressive feat. And, they had a lot of hype going, and I was the B-side again, so I just I knew I had to come in there, and I knew a lot of people were going to be watching. So if there was any fight that I needed to be, ready to fire for, it was this one. And, I went in there and I made one mistake, which I think changed the outcome of the fight. And I think it was a positive, even though it ended up getting me a couple stitches and a couple guys. But, he had a bunch off of that he caught my kick and I rolled out. I shouldn't have rolled. I should have gone to the clinch, but I rolled out, tried to be fancy for all the fans, and got me in a little bit of trouble. And, he landed a couple shots, but those shots to the back of the head, they didn't necessarily hurt me. They just kind of got me I was out of balance. I couldn't really recover my balance for that amount of time. And then when he did land that combination that did drop me, it was just a matter of he hit me and I just didn't have my balance. And, but I just remember thinking, I'm not hurt. I just have to get back to my feet. I just remember thinking, damn, I'm losing. That's all I remember thinking at that moment. And I was like, I just need to recover, get my space, because I already read him that first opening, I would say 30 seconds, and my range was already starting to meet with the jab. And once I start finding range with my jab, everything kind of starts to come off of that. And I already knew, like, he was such a muscular built guy that, especially, like, you know, this is the biggest fight of his career. So he was going to come out and probably blow a tank. And that's exactly what he did, the way he fought. And, you know, I'm someone that's been in this game for such a long time. So my MMA knowledge, at least what I believe, is pretty good and proficient. So everything that we kind of get, like, guaranteed to see in that fight happened from Louis. And don't get me wrong, he's tough as nails, and he was super game, and he landed some good shots at me. For me, I thought I was going to get him out in the first round, but because of my error, it came on a little bit later, and I was hoping I could get the finish earlier. But hey, it worked out perfectly. So many people gave me such good feedback from the fight. The fans loved it. I gained a lot of appreciation from it. And they're just like, dude, you're a tough motherfucker. And, like, you could just go and go. And I was like, dude, like, that's the problem. Like, I don't want to be known as a tough motherfucker. Like, that's just built. Like, that's there. But, like, everything else that I was trying to show stylistically and just my technique, like, I'm a very big footwork guy, movement guy. So on 2 weeks' notice, I felt like I was working at maybe like 60% of my real potential. But when I'm firing, like, I'm a real force to reckon with. And I feel like someone of Lewis's level, I should have been able to get out in the first round when I'm firing on all cylinders. But respect to him again. I threw the kitchen sink at him, and he lasted as long as he did. And, you know, like I said, he said he was going to break my jaw. I ended up putting him on the surgical table. And I broke his will. So, you know, that's just, it's just, like I said, usually I say what I'm going to do. And that's always been like that from day one.
Yeah, and I can't imagine a better start to a UFC career, to come in, have a fight like that on such a big stage, get the fight of the night bonus. It was awesome. So I thought the same thing. I was watching that fight. I'm calling Billy. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? We got to get this dude on the show. I love his fight style. But all right, Billy, jump to the next one.
I'm sending Parker YouTube videos of, like, Asian regional MMA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So let's talk a little bit. You know, I know you said you're a big technical guy. Let's talk a little bit about your camp. Let's talk about Syndicate MMA. You're working with one of the best MMA coaches in the world, in my opinion, John Wood. How important is that camp, his coaching, your other coaches that you work with, your sparring partners, training partners? What does that do for you, you know, that's maybe unique to that gym?
I mean, the cool thing, I mean, I've been at some of the biggest gyms in the world throughout my career, and coming to Syndicate, I was actually invited out here by my coach, Neil Melanson, who's based out here in Las Vegas, who I hold in very high regard, and, you know, former Blackzilians grappling coach. So he was the one who put me in touch with John and passed me on to Syndicate and said, look, you got somebody here that we think we can do something with. And John took me under his wing from day one. And out of all the gyms that I've ever been, I've never felt, I guess you can say, attention, just help, because I came here with an injury. I had a torn meniscus and a torn groin that I fought Munir Lizez with, which I needed surgery for. So when I came out here, John just basically helped me to get everything that I needed situated to make sure that I could get my surgery and recovery on point. And basically when he did that for me, I was already like, you know, I really had a lot in my heart for that, because people don't always, you know, they tell you one thing and then you end up doing everything on your own. So he really went out of his way to help me, and I needed to repay that favor. And being in this gym, you know, you've got guys from all different parts of the world. You got different levels, you got different weight classes, you got different looks, and there's nothing better than that. Like, when I get ready for fights, you know, if there's a tall opponent, long opponent, southpaw, orthodox, we have that. You know, we have that in the gym, and we have that ability to, like you said, work with the best coaches and game plan and discuss and watch film. And I mean, this is something I love to do, not only as a professional, but as a fan. I'm a huge fan of the sport, always have been. So I think it works really well for me, because I legit know every single fighter in the freaking division, and I know every single fighter on the roster. So for me, it's just a matter of dialing up what I know can win fights. I'm a strategist. I like to play chess. I like to play strategy games. I'm one of those weirdos. So if we're in there physically, I'm obviously going to be playing strategy, and you're going to most likely fall into something that you don't know what I'm doing, and it's not going to work out well for you. And if you can play that game with me, then we're going to have a freaking sick fight, you know? And if you can't, then you're probably going to be sleeping. So it's just one of those. And I've seen it for years since I've, even fighting amateur. I said, man, the level of striking in MMA is so low. People just go out there and they're tough and they throw combinations and they hope and they wish. But when you're playing games with people and it's all just on the end of your stick, it's just a whole nother level. And you see it. You guys are starting to see it more and more now with the elite striking that's coming through. Obviously, someone like Israel is one of those guys. He's just on a completely different level. Brad Riddell is another one. Rafael Fiziev. There's a couple guys like that you see just the level of striking is just at another level. You see it with
Giga. That's
Giga.
a guy that we talk about a lot on here.
Absolutely.
First of all, Sasha, you're kind of taking my lane here with strategy and knowing every fighter in the division. Like, I like this co-hosting gig, and you can fight too. So I could be in trouble here if you keep at this. So I'd like you to stick to the fighting and stay in the gym and maybe forget what some of the guys on the early prelims. If you could do me a favor.
I mean, nowadays, though, with COVID, I mean, I'm sure like you guys, when you came up, you're like, who the hell is this guy? I do get a couple of those here and there, but not long after I've done my research and I already know who he's fought, where he's fought, and I get a good idea. There's sometimes I know you guys are playing your parlay, so we got to watch our film. We got to take a look at what we got in front of us if we've got the time, and it's something that I regularly do, and it's not just I like to keep up with the sport. If I see someone doing something that's different, I want to watch it. I watched Conor McGregor before anyone knew who Conor McGregor was. So these are things that I look out for. If there's someone doing something that I don't know about or something that I can learn, hey, I'm a sponge. I'm going to pick things up that work. And, hey, like I said, I love this game. So I love what I do.
I think I need a podcast with Sasha Parker. I think you might be the one.
He's a little more upbeat, yeah.
He'd be sitting there with me watching the Ryzen pay-per-view at 5 a.m. on New Year's Eve.
You know it. I mean, bro, you're wearing the Rangers and Yankee hat. You're already picking the right attire for me, dude. So we could have something in the future.
Let's go.
Sasha, what for you is next? What's next for you immediately? And then what are your goals for 2021?
So immediate goals, basically, I'm leaving in 9 days. I'm making my way to France to see my fiance, who I haven't seen in 6 months. And we're going to spend Christmas and New Year's together. And then I'm going to be back here on the 4th of January, straight into camp. And we're looking probably end of February, maybe mid-February, early March. And just waiting for that name. We gave
welterweight. We're going to stick at 170.
Oh, yeah. I'm undefeated at welterweight. I've never lost at welterweight. On my record, it says I lost to Munir Lazez at 170, but that was a catch weight. I've never lost at 170, and I intend to keep it that way. That's my division.
And that weight feels totally good for you. The weight cut's not hard. You feel you can eat and everything, and you feel good.
Absolutely, yeah. It's been that way. I've always had to go up in weight just so I could get fights. But 170, when it's been given to me, it's the easiest weight cut. I feel amazing. It's where I'm supposed to be.
All right, I got one for you. Let me ask him this real quick. What's the biggest and most important thing that martial arts has brought to your life?
Composure. Being composed in all types of situations, and being able to control my emotions, I guess. Because as a kid, it was difficult to, you would get mad and then you would just see red and go crazy. That was kind of like 5 years old till about 7, 8. And then I understood how to kind of control that and channel it. And then it would save me in a lot of bad situations, getting in fights in school or getting in other situations. I'll be able to just kind of like think for a second and then, be able to judge myself, do something a little bit smarter. But yeah, I would say composure and discipline, just being disciplined. That's probably one thing that has been my attribute my whole life is being able to make sacrifices, doing things maybe I didn't necessarily want to do, but I did it anyway because I thought it was going to help me down the road. So I would say that was probably the main two.
Okay, cool. Billy, go ahead.
I was going to say, to close this out here, Sasha, this episode will probably come out around Christmas time, so I want to get a few Christmas questions in for you. What's your favorite Christmas movie of all time?
I would say Home Alone.
Great one.
Great. Favorite Christmas song?
Oh, that'd be Mariah Carey, because I can't stop hearing her everywhere I goddamn go.
Yeah, that one rings. That plays on repeat in my house too.
Yeah.
And then, what is the best Christmas gift you've ever given, and what's the best one you've ever received?
Ooh, dang. For the best Christmas gift I've just given. I mean, I just gave my girl an iPhone 12, so that's pretty good, I think.
There you go.
And and the sister got a Dyson vacuum for her new apartment, so balling out there.
We're spending the UFC bonus money already, I can see.
Yeah.
We got to get out there and knock out a few more of these guys in the cage, I guess, if we're spending. We're getting iPhone 12s and Dyson vacuums.
It's a bonus collecting season every fight, dude. Like that's a given. If I'm not getting bonuses, I'm not happy. So we got to get them every fight.
Yeah.
And I would say the best Christmas present that I've ever received. You know what? If we're going throwback, when I got a PlayStation, like the original PlayStation, that was probably the best Christmas ever.
Hell yeah.
What are we, Grand Theft Auto, or what are we doing?
I would say that again.
What are we, Grand Theft Auto 1, or what are we doing back then?
Crash Bandicoot?
Crash Bandicoot, Gran Turismo. Oh, I think I was like FIFA, NBA. I mean, I remember back then I was all fake games, so I had about 100 games, So
yeah.
Hell yeah.
Metal Gear Solid.
Twisted Metal,
great game. Oh, classic, man. That's giving me nostalgia thinking about it. But yeah.
All right, Sasha, any shout outs, anything you want to say, like, before we get out of here?
Yeah, you can follow me on social media, Sasha Palatnikov MMA. Not many people have this name, so you'll probably find me easy. Palatnikov MMA on Twitter. That's kind of like a new account for me. It only kind of got followers since I fought, so now I'm trying to be more active on it. I'm embracing it. I kind of like the Twitter world now, and yeah, just actually, I'm gonna be. Oh no, but this is coming out on Christmas, so it would have already happened. So never mind. But yeah, I'm doing an auction for some items from my weekend with the UFC, some posters, some fight shorts, some items. So I'm gonna be.
We'll put that on the social.
I appreciate that. We're going to be auctioning off some of that stuff, and then any money that comes in for that will go to a charity here in Las Vegas to help with Christmas for homeless and people getting some food over Christmas. So any help that I can give there, I will, and try to get that done before I head off to France. And so yeah, if you guys want some pretty sick gear, just hit me up on Instagram and just make some offers, and we'll see what we get done after a week.
Hell yeah. Well, we appreciate the time tonight, man. We look forward to your next fight. Big fans already, and we wish you the best of luck and happy holidays over in France. And we'll look forward to getting back on again.
For sure, guys.
Thanks a lot, Sasha. I appreciate the time.
It was a pleasure, man. It was nice meeting you guys. I appreciate you guys. And, the sport wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for you guys as well. So appreciate you, and hopefully we'll be talking soon. Hope your families are well. Have good holidays, and see you guys in the new year. I didn't tell you my plans for 2021, but that's just to smoke everybody in the welterweight division. So
let's go.
That's the 2021 New Year resolution.
Can we get a name? Can you give us a name? Like, can we get the real clickbaity, like, Sasha Palatnikov wants to fight who?
I mean, dude, I'll fight anyone. I really don't mind who it is. We were talking. I mean, Alex Morono brought my name up in an interview. I mean, I know he's fighting Pettis, but like a lot of the welterweights have fights lined up right now. Mickey Gall didn't have one. He stood out to me. Diego Sanchez stood out to me. But these are just names that the UFC has to kind of bounce back off of me and let me know who's available and what we can get done. But I'm game for anybody. There's nobody that I don't not want to fight. So
Nick Diaz, let's go. Bring him out of retirement. Let's get crazy.
Hey, let me get a couple.
You make
nice
me happy,
wins.
make you happy. Let's go.
Get a nice couple knockouts to start the year, and then welcome him back. I would be happy to do that.
Yeah.
Bro, back in funny story, back in 2015, 2014, I used to have a lot of weird dreams about fighting him.
That's so awesome. Hey,
I don't know if that's gonna come to fruition, dude. But it's kind of weird that he's making a comeback and I'm where I am right now. So hey, if we cross paths, it'd be amazing. I'm a big fan of his, but at the same time, I know I can smoke him. So, let's see what happens. 2021, hopefully it's just as crazy as this year, and we'll go from there.
I hope it's slightly less crazy. I'm good. I maybe in your line of work it's a little different. I'm good with it being a little less crazy. I hope, Sasha, we get to see you, 4 or 5 times this year. Like you said, smoking everybody, getting out there, getting big fights. Very excited to see you on your rise here. Glad you're finally, making waves here in the UFC after this long journey. And next fight you have, we have to come right back on and give us some more stories. We have some more laughs. Parker and I will ask more dumb questions, and everyone will have a good time.
For sure. Sounds dope, man. It was a good time talking to you guys. Appreciate you.
All right, brother. We'll talk to you later. Thanks.
Peace.
Texas Trees is the premier tree care company in the DFW area. Whether you need basic maintenance or specialized services, when it comes to trees, we've got you covered. Pruning, chipping, bracing, and cabling, even root barriers and disease control, we do it all. And if you aren't sure what you need, we have certified arborists on staff to point you in the right direction. Visit us at northtexastrees.net. That's northtexastrees.net. Thanks for listening to Parker's MMA Show. Take a moment to rate and review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, and visit parkerkeensmmashow.podbean.com for additional information on Parker and to stay up to date on the latest drama in the fight world. For more information and important links about today's episode, check out the show notes.